I'd just like anyone who was with them, maybe in the afternoon, who knows anything about what's happened to them, or if they see anything, to just come forward. We need all the help we can get.
When Donna Jaggers said we need all the help we can get, she didn't, I assume, mean every conspiracy theorist flooding the internet with fairy stories, fantasy-filled notions and other such nonsense. But that in the main is exactly what she got. For nearly 30 years, events surrounding the Essex Boys have been ferociously debated by many. The execution of 3 key gang members in December 1995 has provided the fuel for much of the deliberations. Sustained by misinformation, calculated lies and half-truths, the ever-growing list of suspects for the murders has reached comical proportions, and this has led to the facts being buried.
Mick Steele wasn't fancy cars or Porsches or Jaguars or anything like that. He had his own truck where he'd done his own engineering work. You know, he wasn't, the big drug baron. That wasn't Mickey Steele.
Unfortunately, for the likes of John Womes, not everyone forgets what he said or has been said previously.
He was pressured by Jackie, the drugs, the money, the lifestyle, which is what fueled Mick. That was what fueled Mick. Jackie come from fucking Horsey background. She was loaded, man. When she split up with her old man, and she was fucking loaded wobber when she got with Mick. And they lived the lifestyle, but the lifestyle runs out, doesn't it? You've got any addiction, you've got to feed.
One of the convicted killers, Jack Womes, attempted to implicate Steve Nipper Ellis for the killings.
Only this throwaway line that, he wanted to fucking kill him. This is what Ellis was saying. Now I find that ironic that he's saying that to him. Now it seems to me that Stephen Ellis had a very good reason for wanting to kill him and probably killing him. I mean, they've had enough aggravation, gun in the mouth and going to chop his arm or his leg off or whatever. Makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Ellis himself was a victim of Tucker and Tate's violence. Desperate for attention, he appeared in a national newspaper claiming that a gang had committed the murders after they heard Tucker, Tate and Rolfe intended to murder him. In order to save Ellis, this gang had supposedly executed the trio after giving them a gruesome choice of how they would prefer to die.
I phoned up some young of my friends in town and they phoned me. Yeah. I heard that the meeting was they were sorting out a hit that night to get me nutted. That is what I actually heard. They've gone down to arrange a hit on me, and Bob's around probably fucking their heads blown off.
Bizarrely, Ellis later implicated himself in the executions by falsely claiming in a television documentary that he had been committing crime in Rettendon that night.
I was out that night, I was trying to nick something, probably a lorry or something. That's what I used to do, like nicking lorry loads of gear.
Like so many of the claims in this case, Ellis's were proven to be lies.
Right, let's just summarise it then. Wednesday night, cover that, what we do Wednesday night?
Wednesday night, I would take my girlfriend to college in Dorchester, drove back and signed on. Right. I would have taken the dog out for a walk. I would have picked my girlfriend up from college at 4:30, brought her back here.
Right.
I would have taken the dog out for a walk. She had had a shower, a bath, she went from college.
Yeah.
We'd have stayed in for the night.
That's in Swanage, is it?
Yeah.
Steve Nipper Ellis eventually hit rock bottom, and in a cold, calculated, despicable interview, he blamed his dead father for the murders.
I've answered the phone and he's going, they're dead, Dad. They're dead. And he's laughing. I'm like, what are you on about, Dad? And he said, Pat, Tony and Pete are dead. Pete Cuffy. Obviously Pat, Tony and Pete Cuffy, not Craig Rolfe. I said, Dad, what are you on about? He said, they're dead. And I think I started crying. I said, Dad, what have you done? He went, don't worry, no one knows.
If we are to believe such people, the tiny rural village of Rettendon, where the murders took place, was awash with assassins that night. Jack Womes' younger brother John attempted to implicate me in the murders.
My doubts, whether you was involved with the killing or not, are still like that, do you know what I mean? You was near the scene, I found that out, that you was near the scene, so all impossibilities are there.
He also blamed the authorities.
It's the authorities that done it. It's too good of execution. No one can execute last night unless you're ex-military.
In fact, the list of alleged killers appears to be endless. Paul Betts, Terry Adams, Damon Alvin, Kenny Noy, Patsy Clark, Essex Police, the SAS, Steve Niporellis, the Canning Town Cartel, and no doubt Colonel Mustard in the drawing room with a candlestick. From a cast of many, the conspiracy theorists finally settled on William George Jasper, an East End villain with a very fertile imagination. But Jasper's evidence was gleaned from newspapers and television news, not, as the conspiracy theorists claim, from those involved in the murders.
The killings that three people that were shot. When did you hear about that? The next time. On me. How do you mean what you did the night before? Go down and that shoot. As Dean or Jesse said that they were responsible for that.
Let that sink in. Police officer, the killings, when 3 people were shot. When did you hear about that? Jasper replied, the next day. Police officer, the next day? How did you hear? Jasper replied, on the news. Police officer, how have you linked what you did the night before or the early hours of the morning to that day, that shooting? Jasper replied, because it's obvious. It's obvious. Police officer, has Dean, or Mr. D as the conspiracy theorists call him, or Jesse Gale, have they said that to you, that they were responsible or involved in that? Jasper replied, no. Jasper is very specific. He denies Mr. X confessed. He denies the killer confessed. He saw it on the news. That's how Jasper got his information about the Rettendon murders on the news. I can assure you there is a lot more evidence to come that destroys the Jasper theory. There can only be one truth about any subject in this world. That logic also applies to Billy Jasper. It also applies to the Essex Boys gang. And it also applies to who actually killed them. That same logic applies to the manipulators, the conspiracy theorists, and the great pretenders who have been fooling you about their alleged involvement in events for years.
The truth is what I'm telling you now. It's my time to speak to you, but I didn't want to do it before. He used to supply the effects of the pills. Did any of you know that? In fact, and I know this because I was involved.
The truth about the Essex OG, as his promotional posters label him, is that he wasn't involved in the majority of the incidents he claims to have been involved in. Most of his stories, as you will learn, are just that. Badly told, badly researched stories. Not facts, not truth, stories.
There's this fella who's in Birmingham called Bernard Mahoney, which is not his real name, right? He changed his name. And he's running around Birmingham. No one knows him. If he's that fucking hard, if he was that powerful, why did he stay in Birmingham and take the doors over there and become Bernard Mahoney, one of the hardest people and a gangster? Boom, boom. But no, he's woke his old woman up one day, got his fucking escort estate out and went, we're going down to fucking Essex. Jump in the van, the car, and we're going to take Essex over. No firm behind him, no one to back him, one man.
The truth is thankfully no longer elusive. You can read it, backed by facts, not fiction, in the complete story of the Range Rover murders. Part 1, the birth of the Essex Boys, and Part 2, the death of the Essex Boys. Remember, and remember it well, there are thousands and thousands of conspiracy theories out there, but there can be only one truth.